Thank you so much. I'm Jonathan Jay. I'm an assistant professor at the School of Public Health and an affiliate at the Hariri Institute and the Center for Anti-Racist Research. Gun violence is a public health crisis in the US, and it's a particularly urgent health disparities issue. Black youth living in cities between ages 18 and 24 are 20 times more likely than their non-Hispanic white peers to die by gun homicide. There are very few health outcomes for which we see disparities that even approach this magnitude. At the same time, the solution that we have brought to the table for a long time around gun violence, policing, disproportionately harms communities of color, especially Black communities. So from a racial equity standpoint, what we need are approaches that bring a public health mindset to prevent gun violence without policing. One place that we can start is with physical spaces. So racist policies create residential segregation, which enables physical disinvestment from communities of color, which in turn creates the conditions for gun violence. So unkempt vacant lots, like you see here, for example. However, we know that even relatively small investments can start to reverse those effects. A randomized controlled trial in Philadelphia found that turning unkempt vacant lots like you see here into simple small green spaces like you see on the right reduced nearby gun violence by 29% in low-income neighborhoods. And other trials have confirmed this, and we see similar effects for other physical interventions like street lighting, traffic calming, and other physical changes. The challenge that cities and communities face in implementing these approaches, one of them is that it is really labor intensive to conduct an audit of the built environment on the scale of an entire city. So we're going to bring deep learning and computer vision approaches. Notably, we're using computer vision not to look at faces in ways that we know can introduce racial bias, but rather we're turning those algorithms to look at the physical manifestations of structural racism and physical disinvestment from neighborhoods. So for whatever unit we're analyzing, in this case, they're city blocks, we'll feed in an aerial image into a pre-trained convolutional neural network. We are extracting features from the mid-levels. So these are kind of combinations of colors and textures that the model has learned are good for classification tasks. And then we'll feed those into regression models, penalized regressions or ensemble methods. This approach borrows heavily from my colleague, Professor Lane Nsoesi, who you'll hear from in just a moment. And so in summary, what we're doing is we're teaching models to what a high-risk location looks like and what a low-risk location looks like. So in this experiment from Philadelphia, we see the model has learned that places in the city that have more cul-de-sacs, more green space, have lower incidence of gun violence. Similarly, places where there's less going on, or downtown spaces that are heavily guarded with a lot of action, they have lower gun violence incidence. By contrast, the high-risk places that the model learns are these places that have these telltale signs of physical disinvestment. Less green space, more concrete, more vacant lots, more physical deterioration. The model generates predictions which are pretty accurate. They outperform traditional models that law enforcement agencies use to predict where gun violence will happen. They're not mind-blowing results predictively. It's hard to predict where gun violence is going to happen, but we get good predictions here. But more importantly, we can take this analysis, including the visualizations and the estimates, to the communities that are most impacted by gun violence. We think of this as community engaged data science, to look at these data and decide what are the right solutions for them. So working with BU Sale Lab, we developed a tool called ShapeUp. We piloted it in Albany, New York, where we worked with neighborhoods thinking about demolishing abandoned buildings to improve safety. And now we're working in more depth with the cities of Toledo, Ohio, and Portland, Oregon. We believe that this work, bringing this work to the grassroots, and bringing advanced technologies to non-policing interventions has the potential to reduce gun violence and improve racial equity. Thank you very much.